Hello to all of my BPTV friends, YouTube friends, Facebook friends. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, doing my 92nd The Talking Machine show. I have another great guest. Will you please introduce yourself?
Of course, I am Craig Jones.
Okay, and I heard about you because of something called Stinky.
Yeah, everybody stinks.
Yes.
That was a book that I wrote, yeah.
Okay, we're going to tease about that later, so we'll hear more, and we'll move on. Where were you born at?
I was born in Youngstown.
All right, thank you. Did you go to school there?
Yeah, I did elementary school there.
And how long were you there?
We moved here in '79.
Okay, so where did you move to?
We moved to South Park.
Okay, and your dad now had a job here, I assume.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your mother passed away. May she rest in peace. I'm so sorry to hear that. When I talked to you, we were going back and forth, and she was dying from cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was a short battle, but it was a rough one.
right. My prayers to you. I lost my girlfriend 11 years ago in November to cancer, and so I understand how terrible it is. So
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Did you like school?
It was okay.
All right. Did you have a favorite class?
I didn't have a favorite class, but I probably enjoyed the creative ones more than the academic
Well, your
ones.
interest and passion was creativity.
Yeah.
You would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to go to college?
I did. After I graduated, I went to Youngstown State for a year
You went
and a
back
half.
home to where you were born.
I did.
That's nice. And what were you studying?
It was just general business.
You're
stuff
allowed to
at
do
point.
that. You're young. You're trying to figure something out.
Well, I didn't go beyond a year and a half, so
Oh, my
I didn't get
goodness.
into the stuff that I might have
What
liked.
a surprise.
So it was just the basics, and then I moved back home after that
You just weren't happy there.
No, it was not. The timing wasn't right. It was really about the timing because I did end up going back to school.
And where'd you go?
Well, I went to CCAC, got my associates.
That's smart. You save money.
I swore I would never go back. And then I went back.
Yeah.
So I got my bachelor's from Waynesburg.
Well, I like you being stubborn. That's
I
stubborn
am,
good.
I am.
Yeah.
So I got my bachelor's from Waynesburg, swore I would never go back. I went back, got my master's from Waynesburg.
Congratulations.
And I'm not going back.
You know what?
I'm done.
You're making a lot of sense to me. I always like to go back. What was your first job?
Oh, first job was taking pictures at Sears Portrait Studio.
I remember Sears. I loved it.
Yeah, that was interesting. The
Yeah.
kids were great. The parents not so much.
I understand. I remember my daughter was born in '88. We went to J.C. Penney at Century 3 Mall, so
Yep.
that was a good project, and it was all good there. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And then my son came a few years later. We did the same thing again and had a good photographer and had fun.
Well, you probably went to me at Sears.
Well, not at Sears. Sears was 10 minutes from our house. Century 3 was 20. But we heard good things about them.
All right, that worked.
No offense meant to you. And then what was another job that you may have done?
The next one, I was a Disney cast member.
No way. That's so
yeah.
cool.
So if you think back to when they decided to enter the retail market with the
Yeah.
Disney stores in the mall, I was one of the original cast members in Pittsburgh.
Guess
So-
what? We were there.
Were you? I
Yeah.
was too. That was a fun one. It was a lot of hard work, a lot
What
of
did you get
detail.
paid to do that?
I
You don't know.
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah.
But
Probably
I,
2 cents, but it's,
Yeah.
it spends.
Yeah. It was pretty cool though. I mean, just to be able to land that one in the original cast.
Well, that's
because
fun,
that was
too.
like 300 people that had applied.
Wow.
So yeah.
You're a modest man. You've
I
done
am.
well.
I am.
No, how long did you last there?
I want to say I was there 3 or 4 years. It was part-time.
Well, you were
And I held on to it as long as I could. Even when I was working at a full-time job, I still held on to that one.
Well, then what was your full-time job after college?
Well,
Or
no.
maybe you had one before that.
Yeah, it was before that. The first full-time was at a bank, working in a branch.
Being a teller. Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. From Disney character to teller.
It was, and it was interesting because the time that I went in to be the teller, at that time there weren't too many male tellers, so I actually had customers refuse to come to me because they didn't want a guy waiting on them in the branch. That was a little bit weird. That was
Wow,
weird.
that is.
Yeah.
That is strange, but thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. So with your degrees, what kind of job were you looking for?
Well, I mean, I was at the bank for a while, and because the bank was willing
Okay,
to
we
pay
gotta-
for,
okay.
yeah, they were willing to pay for it. So that's when I decided to go back
Okay.
to school, and it was just general business administration.
Yeah, but you got your degrees,
I
and
did. I
that's
did.
good. And then did you get a promotion at the bank?
No, after I got the degree, I put in the time that I needed to put in, and I went to work for a local pharmaceutical company.
Oh, get on.
Yeah.
Very interesting career. And
It has been.
what do you do now?
Learning and development training, but it all stemmed from when I was working at Disney and going to their onboarding, which is referred to as foundations.
And how did that work out? What did they do there? You got piqued my interest.
Well, I mean, it was the way that they did it. It was the quality of the onboarding process, orientation.
Sure. Well, they're
I
professionals.
still remember the
at it.
guy that did it, and that's why I went into learning and development.
Tell us his name.
Dennis Frere.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
So yeah, I'm still with learning and development now.
Yeah, and what did they teach you? Can you
I
name
think-
a few things? Or
I mean, one was to always follow through and exceed expectations. Like
Sort of
those
like
were the two biggest things.
sort of like life lessons?
Yeah,
No, that and you practice today.
absolutely.
Wow. No, that is very interesting. And you're still doing that as of what we're speaking about.
I am.
Okay, and that's why we had a 3 o'clock start instead of 2 o'clock to try to accommodate you. So thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, we're going to get into how did you think of and create this book?
It was born one night when my daughter, she was in high school at the time, and she was struggling a little bit with a homework assignment because she had to write a fable.
Okay.
And I mean, we were going back and forth. I said, seriously, Kylie, how hard can it be?
Right.
Right? You come up with something that you want to teach through the story. So let's talk about a skunk that doesn't know he stinks.
Right.
And that night was when the story was born.
Get on.
Yeah.
How long ago was this? Roughly.
It was a while ago. I mean, I would say that
More
at
than a
this
couple
point-
years?
Yeah,
More than 3 years?
yeah.
4.
I'm thinking it was probably more like 7 or so.
Okay.
It was a long process because I had never done it before.
Right. No. How did you even go about doing this?
So I had the idea for the book. I was writing it. It was a great place for me to escape because
How
while
so?
I was
What do you-
writing it,
How
yeah.
so? How do you mean? Explain to my fans out there.
So while I was writing it, my dad was battling cancer.
Oh my goodness.
My
What you've gone
mother-in-law-
through. My prayers for you.
Yeah, my mother-in-law was battling cancer.
Oh,
And it was just a
prayers.
great way for me to just go back to being creative because I've always been creative. I've
Can you
always
say
liked
it was
writing.
therapeutic?
Absolutely.
I know
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, even the message that ended up coming out of it in the end. But once I had it, I figured, okay, I wrote it. It's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
At the time, I was working at Highmark,
Okay.
and one of the coworkers, I had mentioned to her, "Oh, I wrote this," because she had mentioned that she had written a book and published it.
Right.
So she said, "Well, you need to publish it." So I
Wow,
did.
what a nice coworker. And I have great memories of good health insurance with Highmark at the Pittsburgh Press and Post Gazette. So
Okay.
that name comes up because I remember that. And yeah, very interesting there. And my one sister, middle sister, Judy, worked there for years.
Okay.
And yeah, so I got connections there too. It's a small world in Pittsburgh,
It is. It
even
is.
via Youngstown.
Yep. Yeah.
No, that is good. And how did you know how many pages to write, how many words? Did you learn that? Because I've talked to a lot of authors, and there's different things like you should write each day, make sure you do it, and then others when you're inspired, and then some just fly by their seat of my pants like I do on this show.
It was a little bit of all that.
I'm glad I covered it.
Yeah, it was a bit of all of it.
Did you have an area where you would exclusively write at? Okay, so,
No, because I mean, I might be going for a walk and something will strike me that.
so you had a notebook with you.
Oh, I used my phone, yeah, to be able
Okay.
to record the different stanzas and
See,
everything.
I'm old school, and I was taught doing different things in business, have a notepad, because you wake up with a vision at 3 in the morning and you write it down.
I have one now. I didn't have one then. Like I didn't think I would go beyond this book.
Okay, well,
But I've
we got
gone
the
beyond.
tease here. We got this book. We'll focus to what's next. You said you had a daughter. Do you have a son? Because I thought you mentioned.
I have 4 kids total.
Ah,
So
wow.
my daughter's a senior up at Penn State in Erie.
My daughter went to Penn State, 4 years, 3 degrees. Just bragging. Just
Okay,
had my
as
first.
you should.
Yeah.
As you should.
3 degrees. Just had my first grandson, so we're all
Nice,
good. Yeah, they're all
nice.
doing well.
My son is a sophomore at the University of Michigan.
Congrats.
To him, absolutely. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, you're
He
the
is up
dad.
there on his own talent.
Wow,
He's
that
in the
is
music
great.
program up there. And then I have twins who are juniors at Bethel Park now.
Ah, that's nice. I don't know if you're allowed to mention their names. We don't want to embarrass
Yeah,
teenagers.
we're not going to, no.
Yeah,
I would
so
never hear the end of that one.
No, I understand that. And we get teased as dad, and we got our dad jokes, but we
We
won't
do.
get into
We do.
that at all. No, it's interesting. Did they inspire you at anything with any of your stories and thoughts with this, or was it just about you doing this?
No, it was more about, I mean, again, my daughter kind of sparked it, but the message in
No, that's
there,
why I'm asking. I wondered if there was more than that.
yeah, it's really a message about not letting other people dictate your value. It's like
That's so apropos now
yeah,
with all this
yeah.
social media bullying and all this misinformation
yeah,
and people not reading books. I'm a book reader every day. I read mostly history, but books like yours, Cat in the Hat was one of my best, and I bought my grandson his first Cat in the Hat book. I'd read at night. They were in Montessori, so when they're like 4 years old, they started to read their books to me, and we did Dr. Seuss and many other books.
that's awesome. That is
Before every
awesome.
bed, I was the nighttime dad for putting them to sleep.
And you can do that with this. Not that it's boring. It's
Whoa. This might be a gift to my grandson, Nolan.
yes, absolutely. But I mean, again, going back to the whole, don't let other people dictate your values. So
Yes.
even when I've gone to schools in Bethel Park
Right.
and in the elementary schools,
I've heard about you through that.
it,
And even the library, I heard about you.
yeah, I mean, I fully believe that everybody has been given a unique gift that they're meant to share, to embrace. Where they get that gift from, that's not for me to say. That wherever they get it from, they got it from.
Yeah.
But
No.
they got to share it, and just because their friends may not think it's cool that they like to draw and paint,
Yeah.
because they're athletes,
Right.
it's still a gift that they should share, just as the athletic ones should share their gift.
Right. No doubt. And, people have to have a little more open mind, but it's so goal-oriented that people want them to be the best, and not many kids do make it to the major leagues. So how about getting the education
Yeah.
and be creative,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
be business-like, or whatever else?
I'll tell you one of the coolest things that I've seen recently is I chaperone for the Bethel Park Band, and there was a
I
visiting.
did that back in 2006 when they went to Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah,
The synchronicity here is good.
it is, it is. But there was a visiting team there that the band took the field, and there was one of their football players in uniform playing on the field. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
now that's somebody who knows how to embrace their gifts,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely. Well, I believe to get religious, we're all blessed by God. I don't care what you believe, but He has a plan for us. We just don't know. Like I told you earlier, I was supposed to be an architectural engineer and play small college football at
Yeah.
Juniata. I ended up being a production worker at the Pittsburgh Press for 36 years.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. Hopefully, I'm going to be an author, but
You are an author right now. I give you
it would
the
be nice to
author.
support myself as an author.
Well, in this day and age, that can be difficult.
That's a stretch. That is a
Yes,
stretch.
Yes, but dreams are good. I always told my
Absolutely.
kids, dream big. And Craig, you're dreaming big.
I am.
You're welcome to the show.
You're going to get me there through this show.
Hey, you can use this to promote and go to the biggest publishing houses in the country. And if they need any support from you or me, tell them I'm available 24/7.
That works.
I'll
That
help you
works.
out. I'll
Look,
have
it
nothing.
only takes one person to hear about it and to read it. And
Well, we're going to get
That's
more
where we're
than
going.
a couple there. This is my 90-second show, and we got 40, 50 people watch this all the time, and then it's on TV 5 more times. So you got thousands of people that can watch this, and it's always on YouTube, and it's on Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area, Comcast 21 only in Bethel Park.
Okay.
So all the kids' friends can see their dad on there, and know that he
we'll
didn't
see what
mention.
the kids say about that first.
Well, they can critique it all they want, but you've been a great guest so far, and if they have a problem, they can talk to me,
That's fair.
and I can answer them with plenty of good things there.
That's
All
fair.
family friendly.
All right.
And what's the theme of the story? You've teased us about what it is and how people should be.
So, I mean, just to kind of give you a sense, the back cover, if I can borrow it for
Yeah.
1 second,
Take
it
that.
really sums it up. I mean, it says, you have a gift, embrace your stink. Your value is not based on what other people think. So the
I like
story,
how it rhymes. You're sort of Seuss-like.
it is combination of, it rhymes throughout. It has the Seuss type feel without, made up words.
I
But
don't
it
know.
has the Winnie the Pooh type classic A.A. Milne.
I'm looking at this. Is
type
very
style.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to get the book. Where can they get this book?
It is on Amazon. It's exclusively on Amazon right now.
All right,
I had
go
an
there.
amazing illustrator. I gotta mention my illustrator.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to tease them.
No,
They got to
no.
buy it.
Yes, but Terry Gainey, tell you what, she's incredible.
Wow.
She's based in North Carolina. Found her through a friend of a friend. She is signed up
No,
for.
it looks great with the
Yeah.
skunk on the back. I can show you the back cover, and the front is stellar.
Thank you, and thank you on her behalf. She is signed up to do the next one as well. So we're very excited about that.
No, this is great. So get the book now. You got it from the Talking Machine. In case you didn't understand, Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, sort of rhymes.
It does. It does. You should put it into a book.
And other people with a ski at the end of their last name or some other vowels, they go, "Can you rhyme it?" I go, "Yours doesn't work. It's like multi-syllable and doesn't sound right." So I got lucky.
You did.
And you did well with It's Stinky. Now, you teased us with another book. How
Mm-hmm.
did this come about?
Kind of the same thing about life
A
lessons.
daughter?
No.
That's
this
different. I
one-
had to point that out.
Yeah, this one. The idea just came to me. It's really about conquering fears and not being content
You're hitting,
with
I'm a
where you
positive
are.
guy, and I tell people to do stuff. I'm a natural pumper-upper, and people are afraid of so many things that I go, "Don't worry." They come up with an idea, like I wanted to have you on. I said, "Here, we'll do it this, this, and that," and we were accommodating.
Yeah.
Just do it. So
Yeah.
you're into my wheelhouse here. I love this.
I am. But again, it served as a bit of therapy because I was also writing it while my mom was going through
I
her
know.
battle. And the
Yes.
one thing that I made sure happened, like I was able to write the end of the book, and she was able to read the end. I hadn't filled in all the middle.
How
I had it
cool
all,
is that,
Yeah,
Craig? I love that.
Yeah, part of it is inspired by her, and she told me I had to do it. So
Say your
we're
mother's
doing it.
name.
her name's Carol.
Carol, thank
Carol
you.
with an E.
Carol with the E. I know a couple like that.
Do you?
Yeah, some just have no E.
Yeah, that is true. That
Yes,
is
I've
true.
seen it.
So yeah, I think
That is awesome.
I
Thanks
think
for
the next
sharing.
one's going to be pretty cool. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Well, can you tease what the theme would be?
Overcoming fear, not being content, not being afraid to try something new because you're so comfortable with the way that things have been.
Can you reduce it to what the title might be? Not yet.
I'm going to hold off on that one.
All
I'll
right.
hold off on
He's
that.
businesslike,
You'll
folks.
just have to bring me back, and we can talk about that one then.
Hey, we can do it maybe next year because I usually
we can do that.
usually plan a month or so out. So we can try to do something like that to accommodate you. You've already impressed me pretty well, so you can
thank
get
you.
another guest appearance here.
All right.
And what process do you do with that? The similar as the Stinky?
Yeah, I mean, with this one, it was. I mean, I learned from the ground up. I was researching on. You asked earlier about how many pages. Well, children's books have 32 pages.
I forgot to see that.
But I did it.
Oh, there were blank ones. Yeah.
Yeah, the end one. But it was a learning
I had
process.
to check. You know, I like numbers and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
it was a learning
Hence
process.
90-second show.
But so the second one's a lot easier because I know a lot more than I did with the first one. I know how
sure.
to lay it out quicker. I know how to get.
And you have a good graphic designer here.
Oh
and
my gosh,
everything?
yeah. And again, I mean, she's already started practicing the different looks and feels,
And what
but it
you
will
want.
have the same.
And you discuss with her and give her guidance on what you're thinking, and then she transposes it for what will work.
Yeah, so she has read the story. There will be certain things that I need to have in there, but I learned in the first book, she's better than I am. So sometimes it's just a matter of this is what I want to capture, go do it, and she blew me away.
Oh, okay. So
every
you didn't
chance of it.
necessarily ask for a skunk, but that she would put that in there as something visual.
Well, I mean, obviously the story's about a skunk.
Well, no,
So
you
she did
didn't
that.
say that. So
But I didn't have a specific vision of what the skunk looked like. I just, essentially said, I need this to look like old school A.A. Milne. I want it to
okay.
be
You gave her
realistic
guidance.
looking. Gave her some guidance, said I needed it to be in watercolor. And I didn't want it to be cartoon character type. I want it to be artistic. I want it to be realistic.
The book-like, more the book-like theme.
Yeah. So I
to
mean,
keep
if
it
you're
that
looking
way.
at the
Understand
skunk, I
your
want it to look
focus.
like a
Yeah.
skunk. I don't want it to look like Pepe Le Pew,
Understand.
right? And she did a
He was
great
one of
job
my
with that.
favorites.
I'm not discounting him at all.
Thank you.
But yeah, because I wanted like the kids to read it. I want to respect their intelligence too. So I'm not dumbing down things either.
Oh, you're being straight up with them. It's rare.
Yeah.
This is rare stuff, Craig. You're going in great area here.
It seems to be working.
Well, it's needed,
Yeah.
and people need to recognize that. I'll give you a little side note. I always interact. I had a friend of mine. His dad was a pilot at Allegheny Airlines, and he had all kind of exotic animals and that, from bears to tropical fish. He brought into school a neutered skunk. Scared everybody because they didn't believe him. His name was Chris. And he walked around with his skunk throughout the school day. Pets weren't normally allowed.
Yeah.
But you could bring show and tell for a pet. And Chris was a character. He got to have the skunk there all day.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember seeing that. And I grew up in Greentree, and many times the police would come out and kill a litter of skunks because they didn't want them spraying people.
Sure.
So how archaic did we go from the 60s till now?
Yeah. And I will tell you that, once you read the book, one, I promise that you will think of me when you smell a skunk.
Okay.
But in a good way. And you will think about the messaging in the book. I promise you that.
No, that is great. You got me pumped up here, and I got to tease the fans a little bit out there with your second book. How soon will it be out? The estimate. I'm not holding you to Christmas or anything like that.
I would expect it to be in the spring.
Okay.
At this point, it really falls down onto the illustrator, Terry.
Understand.
Because we go through a couple different iterations. Like she will first sketch it out, then she'll do some rough watercolors, and then she fine tunes. And it takes time to get it perfect.
You didn't add this in there. Is there an editor do you work with and a publisher?
I do have an editor.
I had to cover this because we were lax. Sorry, folks.
No, we're
Especially to
good.
my author friends that have been on here.
We're good. My editor is Amy Burgundy, a friend from a while back. I like working with people that I know.
That's nice. I like your style.
Yeah, just because I can be more honest with them and trust where we're going to go. And she's on board with book 2 as well.
Of course.
And yeah, she's pretty amazing in her own right. But,
yes. And can you tell us how many books you print up, or you do them on demand, or
they're
how
on
does that
demand.
work?
When you go through Amazon, they're on demand.
So it's like the Dell Computer business model.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, just wanted
Pretty
to
much.
clarify that. So order the book on Amazon.
Yeah, currently Amazon. We'll see if we can go beyond Amazon. That's another process.
Right. I understand what you got to do. Friends of mine have done that too. So
Yeah.
you can just put it out there and tell them what you have to do to get on other, sites.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into a larger bookstore like Barnes & Noble, for instance,
Right.
you really got to get with a bigger publishing company.
Sure. Well,
But
they're all
publishing
connected.
companies today are not like they used to be. Like before, you could send them a book, you could send them a manuscript.
I've heard this, yeah.
It's not like that anymore. Now they want, it's really self-driven publishing now, self-publishing, to see, are you
But
able
it's not
to get...
cheaper. It's not cheaper, though.
No, it's not cheaper.
Just wanted to emphasize that. Some
That,
things
yeah,
change.
that is true. That is
That's
true.
why you can use this video to help promote Everybody Stinks by Craig Jones, illustrated by Terry Gainey. Carry on. So you got to do that with Barnes
You got to
and
do
Noble.
that just to make sure that you
How many
can sell some books.
How many bookstores or sites are there, though, that you can go, or what's your list look like?
I mean, there's different avenues to take to say, here, this is what I want to do. These are the places I want to go. This is how much flexibility I want with the book. I'm not there yet.
Will you be there with like children's books, something like that, or even like?
Ideally.
Yeah.
Ideally. But again, when you're looking at
No, I just wondered.
self-publishing,
Yeah.
it's about just getting the word out and trying to spread it. But I mean, we're getting there.
This is so interesting because I have a friend that wrote a cat book, Ginger the cat. It was her favorite cat, lived to be about 18 years old, and she's
Okay.
wrote about her. She had a special personality. She just wrote a second book with Ginger the cat and feline facts. And she's self-published like you, and she's had some success lately, being #1 on Amazon and things.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful for you. I'm trying to pump you up. So we got less than 2 minutes. Being a sports guy, the 2-minute warning is,
Okay.
how would you inspire anybody that's interested in being an author like you who didn't go to school to be an author and a writer?
I would take it a little bit further than that. It's not about inspiring somebody to be a writer. It would be inspiring them to figure out what their gift is.
And you can correct me on anything. I was trying to get the information out of you, so I take no offense.
So-
Listen to Craig. That's my thing.
So if somebody wants to be a writer, you got to write, and a lot of it comes down to
Well, what do you
trusting
do
yourself.
to get the words on a page? You got to write. Now, do you do it daily, hourly,
I
inspirationally?
do it when it comes to me.
Okay.
There are definitely days in which, for instance, the second book, there were times when I was sitting with my mom, and it came a lot quicker just because
You were inspired.
I was inspired by different things.
Yeah.
But then filling in the middle of the book, that one, it would, again, I write it in rhyming verse, and for me the rhythm is important.
Oh, I understand that.
So just because I can come up with what the pages should say, they need to be written in such a way that it follows that same rhythm throughout.
No, that is great stuff. Follow what he said, not what I said. This is to get the book. Buy the book on Amazon. Craig, thanks for being a great guest. For his second book, we'll bring him back next year. And I want to end the show with thank you for all the great comments and feedback. We'll be back for the 93rd show.